Hello everyone, I'm Ryan. With me I have David and Alex from the Fancensus team, and of course in a few days from when we're recording we have Summer Game Fest. Now next week we're going to be discussing what happened at the show, we're going to be discussing some of the results in terms of press and social media, but today we're just going to have a very brief little chat about what we expect to see from the show and anticipation levels. So thanks for joining me, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. So I suppose what I'll do is I'll kick off with the first question of what do you want to see? If there was one game you want to see from the show featured, what would it be?
I'd like to see. I might take the easy one here and say the next Resident Evil.
As in
The Code Veronica.
the one that's been rumoured?
Yes, because it's not the next in line. It's a spin-off. It's a remake. It's something they could have been working on the whole time already. I don't think it's something that's too out of the realm of possibility this soon after 9.
It's worth mentioning we have no insider information. This is just based on what we see on the internet, rumours. But do you not think maybe it's a bit soon, considering we haven't even got the DLC for Requiem yet?
It depends when that DLC is coming out. If that also gets shown, then it could be a package deal. Capcom like doing their little sequences in shows like that when they sort of have a few things at once. The Resident Evil segment of the show. So if they want to group it up, there's that to do.
Okay. And then,
I think that'd be big if we had got that. That'd be great.
but would you want to see that though? Because I know you're not a horror guy.
I'm proper scared of cat. So, but I've loved all the response to Requiem and what have you. So I'd love to see more of that. I think we might see a bit more divinity in this show as well.
Okay. So what I thought would be fun is I've got a list of some of the major publishers, third parties, first party, and I thought we could just rattle through them and then just bounce ideas of what games we think could be coming from them. And we'll kick off with Sega. And then from me, I think one of the obvious ones is Sonic the Hedgehog. With it being the 35th anniversary, we've not seen anything from that 35th anniversary yet. They weren't in the State of Play last night. So there is that. There was also the tease of Crazy Taxi on their social media accounts. So there's that as an option. It feels like with Sega, there are a lot of potentials because they've announced a bunch of games from the classic games of Golden Axe and Streets of Rage and Crazy Taxi, but then you've also got your Persona games. So the 4 remake is an option. I mean, is there anything else that you think that could be coming from them, or if they're even going to be in the show? Because I suppose I should preface this by saying this is the first year where Jeff has not put out a list of all those participating in the show. Whereas before, we've usually had that one shot with all the logos. And you don't know what they're coming in with. It could be that they're just placed an advert in it for all we know. But it usually gives an indication of what to expect and from who. But it feels like with this one, we're going in blind because there's, as far as I'm aware, there is nothing out there, no hints, anything like that. So Sega may not even be in the show. So likelihood of them being in, I'd say is pretty high. I don't know if you guys agree with that or...
I mean, they've had some pretty meaty sections and numerous games in previous shows of Jeff, so it wouldn't be a surprise. I think everyone's a bit excited about Crazy Taxi, so we'd love to see a bit more of that. I'm a big retro gaming fan, so anything what sort of brings back some of those older franchises, I'd be keen to see. But Sonic, it's a gift what keeps giving, isn't it? And I wouldn't be surprised if we see something there. We might have seen something last night. It's not just about Summer Game Fest either, is it? We've got Xbox Showcase, we've got Future Game Show, a couple more further down the line, but I think if it's going to be anywhere, Sega are going to be on Friday night, aren't they?
It seems like the most obvious, doesn't it? And I think, like you said a minute ago, like Golden Axe and the retro stuff, I think if anything, they'd be pushing that. They've done a lot of Sonic the last few years.
But that's one of their biggest...
Obviously, and it's an anniversary, but if they're not going to do anything, I feel like there would have been a bit more build-up being an anniversary rather than just drop something like, we are working something. I feel like there would have been more event to it.
I mean, there's always a chance they could do a Sonic Central, like its own showcase, which they've done in the past. So there is that. And then Jet Set Radio is one we haven't spoken about, which of course is part of that classic collective. But we don't know how far along these games are. It could be that they're just really far away. That's why they've not spoken about them. But I, at the very least, I would expect to see something like Persona 4 at the very least from them.
Well, it has to be by now, surely, yeah.
We touched upon this as well with Resident Evil, but Capcom. So obviously you think that we could see the rumoured Code Veronica.
I mean, any day now.
I think a less interesting prediction is Onimusha. We did have that in the State of Play, but there's nothing saying we couldn't see that again. I don't think we're going to see Okami 2. Like that's a long ways off. We could see Mega Man.
Well, there is one coming.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
we could
I
see
forgot
that.
about Yeah,
Game Awards, wasn't it? when it showed
it's
that?
been a little while now.
But I think my hunch is we could see some Street Fighter DLC and we might see Requiem DLC. I don't think we'll see Veronica if it exists.
Look, I can dream.
It will likely happen, but then it could be easily a state of play in September.
True,
You know,
they've got
Capcom
more
have done
time
this
for it,
where they
yeah.
announce a game and then release it 6 months later.
I agree about the Street Fighter stuff though. With that movie coming out, they've got to have something.
Yeah,
something lined up at some point.
Do we see another trailer for the movie? Could be that.
Oh yeah, could be another one there. There's not. I doubt they'll have a trailer for another Sonic film right now. That feels a little bit off.
Feels a bit. I think they finished filming. I think maybe, and they started the voice capture stuff.
Yeah.
But that could just as easily be a August reveal. Or
they got
something.
more time. Yeah.
Square Enix, another Japanese publisher. Do we see part 3?
Would they do it here?
I think they have done it previously. I think they did part Rebirth.
It feels like the build-up's been so great for this this third part of this. What in my opinion should not have been 3 parts. It feels like it's a bit of a weird time to slap it out there. I feel like there are potentially less busy times a year to make it a bigger talking point.
Do you see anything else then instead, or do you think Square?
I think they're absent.
You think
if they've got anything, it's something I probably haven't heard of.
They weren't there last night either, were they? So
no.
That's what makes me think, because also Sega weren't there last night. So, you know, you'd expect a big publisher like that to be in at least something. But then it could be Xbox, could be the rumoured Nintendo Direct next week, because Square Enix like to put a lot of their games on Nintendo platforms. Speaking of Nintendo, will Nintendo be there? I think no.
No, they'll have something.
I think we'll have an advert for the Switch too.
Yeah.
That will be their contribution.
Yeah.
They will do their own thing, and it'll be next week.
Yeah.
And it'll be their own showcase. So we can move on from that very quickly. Sony. They had the state of play last night, but do they have anything in there as well?
It would be clever, wouldn't it? They had their state of play so early compared to the other shows, days early, and then maybe keeping the ball rolling by reminding people of what's come already, you know, what's been shown, or something that we haven't seen coming. Not like a huge thing, that would have been a state of play, but having some sort of property that's, you know, gonna be maybe not a first party thing because that's all staying on PS5 now, but something that's going to be on more platforms, maybe just sneaking out there, hey, we're still here.
Yeah. I could, outside shout, I could probably maybe see season 3 of The Last of Us popping up in there.
Yeah.
Because they've done that with the show before.
Good shout.
So I don't think they'll have a large presence, but I think they'll have some sort of presence.
they always seem to sneak in a little bit earlier before the other big shows, don't they?
Normally,
literally a few days before. So it would make sense to sort of keep that momentum going a little bit.
And I'm sure you've seen the data, and we'll get to some of that in a minute. Like, that's a smart move because you are essentially piggybacking off the excitement of the unofficial E3 week. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be at Summer Game Fest, which I think for many is seen as that nucleus of it all. But you can take advantage of that momentum elsewhere.
And you get a few days breather as well. Obviously, the big show's happening this weekend. You've got the 3 bigger ones this weekend, and you do tend to get a little bit of a bleed between the 3. So, you know, what's in what show, people can't always remember what's in what, where state of play does tend to be a bit more standalone in its own right. So I do think that benefits it in some ways.
I'll say these two together because they're very similar. Take-Two and EA. Of course, they have their yearly sports games, and they do tend to have, you know, releases from established brands, everything from Lego to Star Wars. Do we see anything from these guys at the show?
Have we seen any sort of follow-up to Split Fiction yet? We expect something along those lines again. I mean, it's
I think it's a bit too early.
Yeah, it's only just resting really since last year, wasn't it? And I think I was just thinking about the Lego games, like you mentioned. We've just had Lego Batman, and we've also just had the Lego Party game. We've just had the Lego Journey, and I don't think there's anything else lined up for Lego that's announced yet. So if there was going to be something,
yeah, I mean, I feel Take-Two maybe want to move away from Lego after 2K Drive.
Yeah, true.
But you know, there's we could see Civilization DLC. We could see.
Oh, I tell a lie. There was a rumor actually about a Lego city building game.
From
I don't remember the publisher, but Lego. It was called Lego Skyline.
So is it going to be right? That would be neat.
That would be
I forget the exact publisher of that game, but it might be Paradox. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. But that seems like an interesting.
That'd be a
fit.
fun one, yeah.
So I think we're under the assumption we don't see much from those two.
No, yeah, and Take-Two, I think. Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to the sports games, I think it's the wrong audience for a show like that.
Yeah.
You know, people are there to see, for lack of a better term, games, not sports games. Koei Tecmo.
Not one I follow, to be honest with you. Not one
Okay.
really.
I mean, we
think
had
about.
Dynasty Warriors last night, the remaster / remake of the
It
third.
wasn't a very big feeling title.
No, and I suppose the biggest momentum they've had is Pokopia, but again, I think if there's DLC
That's
for that,
gonna
it
be
comes
on
next
a
week.
Direct, isn't it? Switch
Yeah.
Direct, yeah.
So, and they, I don't think we see a Neo sequel announced or anything like that. I don't think we see a Fatal Frame game. We just had the remake, so maybe it's a quiet one from them. Ubisoft.
God, what are they doing right now?
Well, Rayman, Assassin's Creed.
True.
So do they? I don't think they show Rayman.
No,
do they
they
show
just had
Assassin's
that.
Creed? Maybe, but that game is so close to release now. It's next month.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen an awful lot of footage. They've done all the comparisons already to the old game. They've done all the, here's the same level twice sort of thing.
Also, I don't think they were there last year.
Did they have their own show last year? Or am I thinking
I
of the
don't
year
think
before?
so. It might have been the year.
Yeah.
They did.
Before, yeah.
The one time they participated, I think, was when they had Prince of Persia.
Yes.
But I think they've got the information out there about their games. People know what those products are. I don't think you need to use this platform to regurgitate that information.
No, I'd agree.
But the last one I've got on here, which is almost like a triple threat, is Xbox, which then includes Bethesda and then Activision Blizzard, of course, as well. So do we see anything from...
I mean, on their own show, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And we obviously have big things coming. We've just had the proper announcement of the next Modern Warfare,
Yes, of course.
which is going to need a multiplayer trailer, as they always do at some point. And that's normally the more exciting one, at least. Bethesda...
Wolfenstein?
do that
Is it too early for that?
maybe. I mean, they've just in the last couple months finished all the DLCs and released them all for Starfield,
Yeah.
which was their big long-term project, I think, for a while. So maybe they're taking a breather.
I could see a teaser for one of their games that's going to be shown, like Gears of War. Like you could have a very brief cinematic trailer, like 30, 40 seconds long.
It's because they've got a special after the show.
Yeah,
haven't they?
exactly. But it just
good
builds
point.
that excitement
Yeah,
before their broadcast the next day.
that's a good shout.
So maybe something like that. But I don't feel like there's any announcements. If they had new games to announce from Bethesda, like a Wolfenstein, or if they had something from Activision Blizzard, which was the next, I don't know, expansion for Diablo 4 or something, they would surely save that for their show.
You think?
Yeah.
We have been waiting a very long time now to hear more about the new Halo project. We had that trailer to show off one of the levels months ago.
Is this the anniversary?
It's the remake of the first
Yeah,
game, proper
okay.
remake, and I don't know if they'll show more yet. I don't know if it's the wrong.
I thought it was
time.
meant to be this year, though, that game.
I think it's supposed to be, but again, after that trailer they showed, there's really not been anything else. So are they going to save it for later and just sort of do a bit of a? It's not a new title, is it? It's a remake of So is it just going to be a shorter? Amount.
Didn't they remake it before?
They remastered it, but included a button where you could change it back and forth.
Right.
And now this is a full remake with new
Okay.
features and new levels and things like that.
I'd be interested to see how that's aged.
Yes, correct.
As the
Well, they've supposedly made changes, like made the levels bigger, more enemies. You can run faster now to like keep up to date with more modern sort of game shooters and things. But will they show it? Who knows? They've got like I say, Gears of War on their own night as well, which is massively featured. So maybe they're going to try and headline that and maybe not mention their other shooters as much.
I mean, I suppose that's the entire list I have. There's obviously more publishers out there. I mean, is there anything that you think of that falls outside what we've discussed already? I mean, one that springs to mind is Silk Song DLC.
Yeah,
That's still coming at some point.
Because,
isn't it?
it's a running joke about it taking forever to come out, and was Jeff going to have it in his show? And he eventually did last year after it was already announced with the release date. But perhaps they could debut the first DLC trailer. Doesn't mean it's coming anytime soon, but they could do that.
Well, we've already had the announcement and a small trailer for the DLC.
But they could show a bit
They
more.
could show an actual bit of gameplay,
Yeah.
because it was sort of CGI-ish, honestly, it's a little bit up in the air. I feel like everyone's had something recent, or everyone's already shown something recently.
Yeah, I mean, the State of Play had a number of games last
They
night that I
covered
felt
quite a
could have
lot.
debuted
Yeah,
at Summer Game
yeah.
Fest, like the new Stuntman game. That felt
Yeah.
like a game that could have fit
Quite
into
nicely.
the Game
in there,
Fest.
yeah.
Whether I doubt it shows up again, because if you wouldn't necessarily have the game show up in two shows so close
No,
together.
probably
But
not.
I mean, those are the sort of announcements I prefer rather than sort of the big franchises, which everyone gets pumped up for. But there's also that level of expectations. I like the ones where it just sort of come out a little bit left field. No one's really talking about it before, and there you go. You've got Stuntman Hollywood, which for me just looks really cool, and what they're doing with the movie scenes and what have you. And the movie cars. I just think
Just looks fun.
for me,
doesn't it?
it's just a bit more exciting than sort of the mainstream franchises. But
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of these dormant franchises coming back. I mean, Star Fox recently was
Yes,
announced from
hugely,
Nintendo, and
hugely,
you know
yeah.
we haven't seen a new one since the Wii U days, which is
the good
over
old
10
days.
years. Yeah,
Forget how long that is.
you know, so I think, and you're seeing it with these middle-sized budgets as well. You know, because it doesn't make sense to invest tons and tons of money into something that's a bit of an unknown. Like, how are the audience going to react to it? But Stuntman, you know. Seems it's crazy to me that franchise is, and we're getting a bit sidetracked, but it seems crazy to me that franchise has not explored the idea of utilizing IP and
It's
movies.
weird, isn't it? I guess you know, for starting off point, you just want to make a fun game, I guess. But then as the sequels happen, like it has taken a long time to go. Oh, people love stunts in movies. Let's just do those.
I think that's the way you get headlines as well. If it had just been announced as another Stuntman, I don't think
this
it would have
not
caught
get-
the eyes of
no.
as many people as it did last night, myself included.
and it crosses over into broader audience as well. So you get
Yeah.
movie buffs interested then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Back to the Future. Great, cool. Yeah, I want to race a car alongside a train. Yeah. Okay, great. So the show, as of recording, is in a couple of days. We will, of course, be watching that from our side. And then next week, we'll be recording a bit of a longer show like this where we'll be diving into some of our findings. I mean, David, did you want to touch upon what we'll be exploring?
Yeah, we've already started preparing those. So we've got a number of reports coming out in next week or so. So looking at really what created the most noise, the most hype, you know, within the individual shows, but overall as well. So, you know, looking at across press, social media, all the social media platforms. We're including some questions in which we've been asking some of the AI platforms like ChatGPT. So we know that's becoming a much more important way for titles to get visible, more discoverable. So, you know, which titles of these platforms been surfacing as well, and we can compare that against all our other metrics to see, well, who's the overall winner, who's the ones who maybe sort of punching above their weight a little bit, which are the ones which perhaps a little bit disappointed in. And as ever with these shows, particularly big ones like Summer Game Fest, where you can have 40, 50 plus titles, you know, there is that unfortunate ability to get lost amongst the crowd. And we've seen that previously. You know, a lot of mid-tier titles seem to struggle there as well.
I was going to actually ask what your thoughts are in terms of the number of games that will feature, because if memory serves me right, it's tended to be around the 60 mark. Do you think we'll see the same again this year?
I feel like a couple of years ago we saw a big jump in Summer Game Fest and Game Awards in terms of number of titles. I just don't feel there's that appetite to take it beyond that. I hope there's not that appetite, because it does become a little bit of a slog, I think, for the viewer.
It really bloats it up.
And you know, are you going to be getting the best bang for your buck if you're in those games when there's so many other titles? Particularly this one, where you've not only got this, obviously the standalone one on Friday night, but you've got Future Games Show the day after, then Xbox Showcase. So by time Monday morning comes round, everyone's got to digest everything. You've got literally hundreds of games being announced. So I hope they keep it, or it's around that 40 to 50 mark. It'd be nice to see it around there, because I think otherwise it just becomes difficult, and you know, surely it becomes a tougher sell moving forward as well. You know, if you want to get your game in there, are you really going to be looking at a big show which has got 60 or 70 games in there? So yeah, standing out amongst the crowd in a busy weekend is obviously the challenge which everyone's got. Everyone's got the same challenge this weekend, I feel.
I don't want to ignore our cameraman, Zacchaeus, back there from the conversation. What are you hoping we see from the show on Friday?
My goodness. For me personally, I think any games that allow me to do a lot of shooting, a lot of aimless fighting. I'm that kind of gamer.
So what you're saying is you're quite a violent person.
Yes, and video games are my outlet, essentially. But that's anything in that kind of realm is what I'm looking forward to. I think I'm probably the type of gamer that people complain about, but here I am. Here I am. But one thing I wanted to ask, just before we tie things up, particularly for David, you touched upon some of the data points we're hopefully going to be giving our viewers after the show. But one thing I'm curious about is there anything that people who are watching, particularly on LinkedIn, can expect that's been particularly maybe different from previous reports we've done?
Yeah, so that comparison, bringing the AI feedback in as well is something which we've not really done on a Jeff Keighley report before. We're just sort of kicking off those ideas around Game Awards in December. So we will be bringing in the comparison to not only what the press and social side of things are saying, how things are being elevated there, but how that narrative and how that visibility on ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini is also being surfaced. Because obviously those sites are taking everything from press and social media, so how they're interpreting that. So that's one element we're going to bring in. We've got additional levels of analysis as well, just really sort of trying to peel back the onion in some of these reports as well. So it's not just about the rankings, the top 10s, but being able to focus in on specific games and seeing where coverage has been missed, for example. So we know that the top titles will pretty much get covered everywhere, but there will be other titles where the coverage is lower, where perhaps there's some low-hanging fruit which it would have been good to be covered by that influencer or on that website. So that's something we're going to be bringing in as well.
And just as a closing point, Ryan, just for the people back at home, what did the show that we're going to be releasing next week, is that going to be a complete breakdown of the findings, or is it just going to be a taster for what's coming in the report?
He'll be touching upon, I think, just a few key takeaways. Of course, we don't want to give away everything, and so it hopefully gives the audience an idea of what it is that Fancensus can do and what we can provide. So think of it as almost like an appetizer. And of course, if anyone who's watching wants to then find out more, if there are games in the show or if they just want to get some general feedback on the show, they just need to reach out where we can then provide that more detailed analysis for them.
Awesome. And then lastly for Babs, on the Guru side, because we're only starting to talk a bit more about Guru.
Oh my gosh, Guru.
On the LinkedIn side, is there anything that we can expect to come from the Guru to support the show?
Of course there is. It's Guru. We have packs of questions going live for all of the major shows this weekend. So State of Play's gone out already. There will be one for Summer Games Fest, the Future Games Show. There'll be one for Xbox. Jump on Guru. Make sure you keep up to date. There's other summer fun going on right now anyway. And earn a bit of cash. Why not? You're going to have opinions and everything's going to be on screen, so you may as well get something out of it.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. Well, Ryan, we'll take it for you.
Okay.
Take us away.
Where?
To the end of the show.
To summer.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be broadcasting our discussions next week. We haven't set an exact date, but if you are subscribed, keep an eye out for the invitations to the event. Sign up, and then even if you miss the show live, you can still watch it on demand at any point. And any feedback, any further questions, feel free to send them over to us via LinkedIn or email, and then we'd be happy to answer them in the show as well. So I suppose there's not much left else to say other than enjoy the show on Friday, and we'll see you next week.